Thank you very much for taking time off your very busy schedules to come and join us for this webinar. We hope it will be a very useful webinar for you. So today for you, we've got a very good panel that we have prepared for you that will be presenting for you today. We are joined by three very esteemed guests, which is Tariro Munemo from the VFX. We have Trevor Mhlope and we have Taurai Sai. So at this moment, allow me to introduce my speakers. To the speakers, if you can kindly turn on your cameras so that our guests can be able to see you as I read your profiles. So I'll start with Tariro Munemo, who will be the first speaker for the day. So Tariro Munemo joined the VFX a year ago and works in the business development team. Her interests lie in finance and accounting. She has had the opportunity to attain her degree in financial sciences and her honors in financial management sciences from the University of Pretoria, to which both degrees focus on the aspect of her interest. At the exchange, she works closely with client management, equipping her to tackle today's topic on how to get started on VFX. Thank you so much, Tariro, for agreeing to our invitation today and for being a speaker on this panel.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Sandra. Pleasure is all mine.
All right, thank you. Our second speaker for the day will be Trevor Mhlope. Trevor Mhlope, if you can kindly switch on your camera so that the audience may see you. I see the smile there, Trevor. Trevor Mhlope is an investment analyst with a strong background in finance and banking, currently working as an investment analyst at Old Mutual Securities since 2020. Trevor brings extensive experience in conducting research, analyzing market trends, and providing valuable insights to clients. Prior to his current position, he worked at CAPS, gaining practical experience in the financial industry. Trevor holds a degree in finance and banking from the University of Zimbabwe and has recently passed level 2 CFA exam. Thank you so much, Trevor, for joining us today.
Thank you all.
And then we are also joined by our very esteemed investor, Taurai Sai. If you may kindly see, oh, I see he has already done that. Thank you so much, Taurai, for that. Taurai Sai is a highly accomplished accounting professional with a strong academic background and over 3 decades of experience in various accounting roles. He is a candidate in the doctorate degree in applied taxation at the Michigan State University. He also holds a master's in applied accounting and a Bachelor of Commerce in accounting with special honors. Taurai is a certified tax accountant and a member of the Institute of Certified Tax Accountants, Institute of Corporate Governance and Accounting, formerly CIS, and a certified public accountant in Zimbabwe. Taurai has been investing on the VFX and ZSE for almost 5 years now. I think from his brief background, you can already tell that there will be 1 or 2 things that will be very valuable that he's going to share today. Thank you so much, Taurai, for joining us today and for setting time from your busy schedule to join us.
Okay, thank you.
So without wasting much of your time, allow me to now hand over the podium to Tari. Maybe perhaps before I do that, maybe a few housekeeping rules. So there will be a question and answer session at the end of the presentations, but if you have a question in between, can you kindly make use of the chat box? You can just type in your question in the chat box, and then at the end of all the presentation, I'll then open up to question and answer session, and all the questions in the chat box will be attended to. The second one is that if you may kindly mute all your mics just to ensure that there is no feedback when the presenter is presenting. Otherwise, ladies and gentlemen, I hope this will be a very fruitful discussion. So at this point in time, allow me to hand over to our esteemed speaker for the day, Tariro Munemo. Over to you.
Okay, great. Thank you so much, Sandra. All right, can you all, or rather Sandra, can you just verify if you can see my screen?
Now I can see it.
In full presentation mode?
No, it's not in full presentation mode.
All right. And now, is it in full presentation mode?
Not yet. Yeah, now it's in full presentation mode.
Okay, great. Thank you so much, and good morning to you all. Thank you very much for being here. As already I've been introduced, I will be your first presenter today, and my name is Tali Nemo, and I will essentially tackle how you get started on VFX from the VFX point of view. So the scope of my presentation today will touch on a brief background of the exchange, how you can register an account, about VFX Direct, funding your account, why you should trade on VFX, and how you can make a realization. All right, so the VFX, as you may all know, is a subsidiary of Zimbabwe Stock Exchange, and we established in 2020, and we are positioned in Victoria Falls. However, trading is open to all local as well as foreign investors, and we trade exclusively in United States dollars. We also currently have 14 counters that are actively trading on our platform. So when it comes to registering an account on VFX, there's two pathways that you can select. So you choose what's ideal for you. And the first would be to go via VFX Direct, which is a trading platform that is owned by VFX, or you can go directly to a licensed VFX broker. So I will just expand a little forward into trading directly through your stockbroker. So the process would be you'd contact your desired broker. So we have a list of licensed VFX brokers on our website. So simply type in VFX on Google and you'll be able to go to our website and go to market participants, and you'll be able to see the listed brokers that we have. So you select your desired broker and you get in contact with them, and they will walk you through how to register an account. They will simply require the 3 main necessary documents, which I will speak about later on in my presentation. So expanding on the VFX Direct pathway, given that this is the pathway that is offered by the exchange, VFX Direct is an online trading platform that was created in 2022 in order for investors or retail investors to be able to easily access the trading platform and be able to send in their buy and sell orders in good time. So it provides an easier and more convenient way as opposed to perhaps having to call to send an instruction to your broker. But any is fine, by the way. All right, and the steps for you to register a VFX Direct account are very simple. So the first thing that you're going to need to do is to download your VFX Direct app. This app is available on Google Play Store as well as App Store. So that already means whatever mobile device you have, you're able to download the mobile application. We are also available via the web. So you can simply type into Google VFX Direct and follow the link, and that link will lead you to our web version of VFX Direct. Once you have downloaded the app, or you now have access to the app via web, you simply open an account, which requires you to give us your username, which would be, for instance, your email address, and a password that you can easily remember. So I think one key aspect that we need to note here is it needs to be a password you can remember, but not necessarily an easy password, because remember, at the end of the day, this is where you're housing all your investments, so you still need to make sure it is as secure as is possible. So once you have opened your account, you then get to select a stockbroker that you require or that you desire. And this is where it's very similar to somebody who chooses to go directly through a broker as opposed to going through the mobile application. So when you select the broker that you're interested in, and usually I think a very common question that we receive is, how do I know what stockbroker to choose? Because currently we have 21 stockbrokers that are licensed by VFEX. So the approach that we usually take is such that, unfortunately, the exchange cannot go on and say, this is the stockbroker that you should be choosing, or this is the counter that you should be buying. And it's simply because as an exchange, we're supposed to be a fair ground for all market participants and not favoring or showing any bias. So how we typically advise any client who's in distress as to what stockbroker to select is, first thing, you could almost approach this as you would choosing a bank account or what bank you'd like to put your money in. So usually this would entail you finding out from other people. So maybe looking for people in the investing community and finding out what broker they have or what broker they've had before or any other intel that they may have. Social media is also a good platform to go. So you'll be able to see on their social platform how active they are or what comments other investors may have about that specific broker. So that is another pathway, and maybe even looking at their website. And once you have made a short list, this is what I would typically advise. Once you've made a short list, perhaps a short list of about 3 or top 5 brokers that you're interested in, give them a call, or if you can, go to their offices, have a sit down, find out if there's an analyst you can talk to or somebody who can assist you in terms of the services that they provide. And whoever you feel most comfortable with, who you feel can provide you with the information that you require to start off your investment journey, would probably be the best person to select. So you then select your stockbroker. Once you've done that, you provide us with your KYC information. And by KYC information, we're talking about your know your customer information, which would typically include perhaps your ID number, your birth date, where you work, your full name, your mobile number, as well as your banking details, which I will expand on further later on. All right, so you have provided us with your KYC information. To conclude and to seal this process, you then upload your documents. So there are 3 documents that we require from you, and these include your proof of address, a copy of your identification card, as well as a passport style photo. So to expand on these, your proof of address, we are simply looking for example, utility bill that clearly marks your name on the bill, as well as the address at which you reside. It could be your banking statement, or it could be an affidavit that has to be certified. So in a situation whereby perhaps you are renting at a specific property, perhaps you could always get an affidavit signed that you do indeed reside at that specific address. And perhaps also you can use a letter from your employer. This typically would work in situations whereby you're in company housing. All right, so you've provided us with these 3 documents, and these 3 documents are also the same documents you need to provide your stockbroker if you choose to go through the pathway that is not through VFEX Direct. All right, so you've provided us with your documents, your foreign currency account. Remember, I said you need to give us your banking details. We require a foreign currency account, as I've already stated, that the exchange trades exclusively in United States dollars. So in situations whereby you want to buy or to sell, funding of your account would be from a foreign currency account. So you can open your FCA account with any of the local banks that we have in Zimbabwe. And you also then perhaps wonder, if you're a foreign investor or you're a Zimbabwean residing in a foreign country, that what do I do if I do not have a foreign currency account? That's when your stockbroker comes in handy. So you can always contact your stockbroker and they will assist you in any of the necessary steps in finding a settlement bank, or to assist you in terms of the banking procedure that would be necessary. All right, before I move on, taking a step back, you've completed these 5 steps. It's important to note that registering an account is not an instant procedure. Your account needs to go through authentication and verification from our side as well as from the broker side. This is when we're simply looking to make sure the information provided is accurate and it meets the benchmark or the standard at which we expect it to be at. All right, so now your account has been approved. So you have an EDS number, which is essentially, you could almost imagine it as a bank account number. So now you want to start trading. The first thing you need to do is to fund your account. And funding your account, before I even give you what measures you can use to fund your account, we're talking about a minimum of only 10 US dollars. So investing has been made accessible to everyone because we only require a minimum of 10 US dollars in order for you to be able to start trading. So the pathways that you can use to fund your account are simply by either going to a banking hall and making a deposit into the VFEX account. So you deposit your $10 plus into our banking account, or you make an electronic funds transfer, to which we require you to also still send us a proof of payment or to upload your proof of payment on our mobile application, which would be VFX Direct. You can also fund your account through Inbox, which is a method that we generated to make trading more convenient and accessible to everyone, everywhere you go or wherever you are. Then the money question becomes, why should I even trade on VFX? So the next two slides will address the why question, right? So when we talk about why you should trade on VFX, looking at the exchanges that we have here in Zimbabwe, you'll find that VFX provides you with the lowest trading fees. So our trading fees are the money grabber. So when you look at it, you'll be able to fully realize whatever profits you would have made when you sell. We also trade in hard currency, gives you the allowance or the security of knowing that your funds are in a hard or more tangible currency, for example. We also talk about, we do not have your capital gains tax. And what capital gains tax is, or what it refers to, is simply in a situation whereby you have sold your shares and you have realized you now have money that has come in. You will not have any gains tax being deducted or being charged from the money that you would have realized. We also have lower dividend withholding taxes, and these are simply 5% for our foreign investors. And then we have, how do I even make a realization on VFX? So it's also important for us to realize that trading on VFX is not for short-term investing. So essentially what I mean by that is it's not your typical, we're not yet providing products that allow you to be able to buy and sell immediately. This is more of a long-term investment structure that we currently have. So the realization that you can make on VFX is through two ways, and this is either through your dividends or selling at a premium. So what dividends essentially refer to is if you have invested in, say, 3 counters that are listed on VFX, those counters or those companies, they hold an annual general meeting to which they then declare a dividend. And this is essentially a share or a portion of the profits that they would have realized that they're willing to share with the holders that have invested or are invested in that counter or in that company. So you essentially get a piece or small piece of the pie, and some of it is reinvested to ensure that the pie keeps getting bigger as we go on. Another way is through selling at a premium. And selling at a premium is whereby perhaps you manage to purchase shares in ABC, for example's purposes. So you manage to purchase those shares, maybe they're trading at 50 cents, for example, and you have held on to that counter for the last 3 months, and something happens in that counter on that company, and suddenly those shares are now trading at 75 cents, for example. So we realize that that is a 25% gain. So you then feel perhaps it's time to let go of some of my shares, all of my shares. No one knows, it's completely up to you and your strategy. And once you have sold, that 25% then becomes what you are gaining. So in a situation whereby you let go of $50, you're getting $75 back. All right, that brings me to the end of my presentation. I hope that was clear and direct to all of you, and I hope to tackle any questions that you may have during the answer and question session. Also, do note that our website has some valuable information that you can access. We also upload our market data, end of day data that shows how the market was trading during the day. That is accessible on our website. It's also accessible on our social media platforms. We are available on WhatsApp channel, Instagram, Facebook, X, or formerly known as Twitter, and as well as on LinkedIn. We're also accessible, available to you and to assist you and to guide you during your investment journey through the email info@vfx.exchange. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Chariro, for that eloquent presentation. I hope this presentation was as valuable to you as it was to me. So Chariro touched on quite a number of interesting aspects. She took us through the process of how you can actually get started when you want to invest on the VFX. She also touched on the reasons why you should even consider to begin with to invest on the VFX. She also touched on an interesting aspect to say how do you actually make a realization on the Victoria Falls Stock Exchange. So if you have any questions or if you've got any area that you did not understand from Chariro's presentation, may you kindly make use of the chat box. You may type your question in the chat box, or alternatively just jot the question down, and then when we open for the question and answer segment at the end of the presentation, we will allow you to unmute your mic and ask the question. So I'll now move on to my second speaker of the day, who is Trevor Mhlope from Old Mutual Securities. Trevor Mhlope, are you there? I see he is there. So at this point, I'm now going to hand over this presentation to Trevor Mhlope. Trevor, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Sandra. So, Sandra has touched most of the things that I was going to cover, but I'll just take it from where you now have an EDS number as a client, or when you have completed like your registration process on the website. So what's next? So that's where your broker then comes in. They complete your onboarding process by generating an EDS number for you. So as I earlier alluded on, so this EDS number, that's where your shares are stored. It's like an account number for you, just like a bank account number. So this is an EDS number, an electronic account for storage of the shares. So once we create or we generate this EDS number for you as our client, we then communicate to you through our email or a call that your account is ready for trading. So once you receive that communication, we go on further to then educate you on how you can navigate like on the website or the application, whichever route you choose. We then add the client's email address to our mailing list so that they can then receive our research. So this is for the process that I was explaining is for a new client. So if you already have a VFX account with us, if you had come directly and we had opened an account with you, and you now want to trade on VFX Direct, that is, you want to trade on your own, you don't want to use your broker anymore, like for buying and selling, you can just notify us via email or via a call. Since you already have an ETS number, what we do is we then notify VFX so that they can just update your details in their system. And then that's the onboarding for an existing client. So once you are on our mailing list, you then receive our price sheet, our research, and our research includes our daily price sheet. So this is the opening closing prices for counters, and it also includes your dividend yield, your price earnings ratio, your year to date, your market cap, all those statistics. They are on our daily price sheet. And in the morning, we send our daily morning note to our clients as well. This one is a market review and our trading recommendations as well, and is company news. So if anything happens, maybe in the morning, we then update it on the morning note and then distribute it to our clients. We also include our company review. So when a company releases its results, what we do is we do a commentary on those results. So what does this mean? We were just saying we have seen maybe Delta's results. Delta is a buy previously before the result. Has anything changed after we have seen the result? Are we degrading it to maybe a sell or reduce? Are we not changing? Is it still a buy or get, or is it now a hold? So that what our company commentaries are about really. At the end of each quarter, we have what we call the portfolio manager stages. So this one covers the economy, covers the statistics of each and every counter, and then the sector analysis and the outlook as well. So this is really our research. And I know that each and every broker is a report that they do maybe monthly or quarterly that covers these issues. So we move on to settlement. So unlike the ZSE Direct, client settlements are done manually by the brokers because on ZSE Direct it's automated. So if you sell your shares after 3 working days, you just receive your money. So with VFX Direct now, what happens is we then receive reports from VFX, and after T+3, that is after 3 days of your trade, after you trade, we then notify our finance department to then pay you your dues. So this is settlement in terms of payments. We also have settlements in terms of shares. So as your broker, we are also your custodian, because this is a broker controlled custodian. So we house your shares. Once you buy your shares, after 3 days, once they settle, we have them here in electronic format. Once you want to sell, you just notify us, and then we sell them for you. We move on to dividends. So dividends are paid directly to clients' accounts from transfer secretaries. However, we assist those transfer secretaries with your details, that is your account details. If you change your bank account, we can then help you to get with the transfer secretary so that they can update your banking details in their system. So it's to help you to receive these dividends. And if you have any queries, if you're an OMSEC client, you can contact our back office team, that is proper same on that email, and on that email. But if you're not, you can contact Rumbi Jai from VFEX Direct, meet Rumbi in Chadid as well. They are happy to assist you. And in terms of education and queries, really is OMSEC or the broker and the exchange who are responsible for that. So if you have any queries, any inquiry, you fail maybe to navigate or maybe on that application, you can contact your broker or the exchange directly using those emails. So that's it from me. If you have any questions, you can shoot them now or maybe after the presentation. Thank you.
Very much, Trevor, for that presentation. I did pick up a few things in his presentation. So there are things to do with researches that Trevor mentioned, to say that there are researches and there are certain statistics that they do send to their clients who are part of their mailing list. I'm sure if you'd like to join the mailing list for Old Mutual Securities, please feel free to get in touch with Trevor. Thank you so much, Trevor, for that presentation. It was very educative. I also hope that our esteemed guests today find it equally to be educative. So if you also have got questions on what Trevor was talking about, may you kindly put them in the chat box, or alternatively, you can just jot them down. After Tauraisai's presentation, then will allow you to unmute your mic and you can be able to ask the questions. So our third presenter for the day is the retail investor from the market. I think from his profile that I read before, he has been investing on the market for over 5 years now. So at this juncture, allow me to hand over. May we kindly mute our mics? Yes, so at this juncture, I'll hand over to Tauraisai so that he can be able to take us in his presentation. Taurai, the floor is yours.
Oh, good morning. Okay, are you able to see my screen?
Not yet.
Okay, please hold. Let us share. Hello, morning. Are you able to see my screen now?
Yeah, now we can see it. May you kindly put in presentation mode.
Okay. Hello, are you able to see it now?
It's not yet in presentation mode. Have you put it in presentation mode? Perhaps whilst Taurai is connecting his machine, and so that we also don't put pressure on him, I will re-emphasize again to say that if you've got any questions, may you kindly make use of the chat box. May you just type in your questions on the chat box as we proceed with the presentation, or alternatively, you can just jot it down after Taurai's presentation. Then we will tackle all the questions that you might have. Thank you. I see Taurai is now in presentation mode. Please go ahead.
Okay, thank you. Right, I'll begin with my background. When I started to invest on the Zimbabwe Stock Exchange, that was since 2019 until today. And from 2022, from the VFX, and generally as count has moved into VFX from Zimbabwe Stock Exchange. On experience, I realized that any person who has simple basic education can be able to trade on VFX. Even though you might have some qualifications, those qualifications may be able to just enhance the quality of decision making in your trade. Though we're qualified in different areas, trading does not require you to have a minimum qualification, but a simple understanding of how trading works on VFX. Right. So we need to have a reason why we're investing on the VFX. Investing in stocks so as to grow my income, be regularly putting money aside to invest. You can see its value multiply over long term. That's why it's important to begin as soon as you have the money to do so. The longer your time horizon, the better. I realize the cheapness of minimum capital is legal. That's $10 as already mentioned. I also realized that the stocks on the stock on VFX has ability to pay dividends regularly at different intervals. Right. Also, before you start to invest on the VFX, you need to set clear investment goals. More basically, I'm saying, why do I need to invest? Why do I need to put my money on the VFX? So before you invest, set clear investment goals, precise about your objective, set specific objectives like to accumulate 200,000 in my retirement fund by 60 years, or invest to buy a stand for 20,000. Set your investment horizon, determine how long you have to achieve each goal you set. You have longer and shorter timelines for different purposes. In general, the longer you can give yourself, the less risk you need to take on, and the more viable your objectives will be. Evaluate your finances. Be realistic about how much you can allocate towards your investment goals. This includes looking at your savings, regular income, or any other financial resources you can put to work as you begin. So what I'm saying, don't go and try to invest when you don't have money. Have more or less, simply saying, have a backup for your investments. You could be doing some businesses, then you take aside some monies and put aside. So rank your goals. Most of us have different goals at once, like saving a down payment for a house, paying for wedding next year, preparing for retirement. Prioritize this and balance them according to their importance and urgency. Review and adapt to changes in your life. The first financial planning is best taken as a verb, a norm, since goals aren't set in stone. Planning your finances is an ongoing project. You might fall in love or out of it. Have any children or none of them, or realize your life's work is best done in different places in the country. Life changes, so so will your financial objectives change. So it is important for us to review our goals so that we keep abreast with changing times. So, and also determine how much you can afford to invest. Look at your sources of income. Start with your income, how much you can invest weekly, monthly, or quarterly. Set a budget based on your financial assessment thus far. Decide how much money you can afford to put in stocks. This shouldn't dip into any fund you need for expenses now or down the road. Your budget should determine if you are starting with a large sum of amount or investing small amounts at a set times each year or a year. Investing in stocks carries risk. It's important to only invest money you can afford to lose. Never put yourself in a financial vulnerable position for the sake of investing. This is what separates investing from some of the worst forms of gambling. Right, and also let's learn to, I've learned to appraise my risk tolerance. So you should also learn to appraise your tolerance for risk. Understand your risk tolerance is a cornerstone for investing. Gauge your level of comfort with the inherent uncertainties of the stock market. Your risk tolerance will differ depending on your lifestyle, financial goals, and your financial cushion for potential losses. Determining your risk tolerance is crucial for crafting an investment strategy that matches your financial goals while keeping your peace of mind. It helps you to decide which stocks are suitable for your portfolio. Basically, when we speak about portfolio, these are the shares that you have accumulated, that you are holding as an individual or as an entity. So when there are 3 or 4, it becomes a portfolio. They come 7, 5, 6, they become a portfolio. And what to do when the market goes up or down? Don't be pushed in or being more adventurous than you need to be, or more cautious than called for. Do you prefer stability, or you are willing to accept risk and price swaps if that means there is potential or more returns? This self-assessment is key to setting a foundation for your investment journey. We also need to be cognizant of costs. So we need to learn the cost of investing, commissions and fees. Besides reputation and fit with your investment strategy goals, broker fees are the most important consideration when you are choosing a brokerage firm. Traditional brokerages have charged fees through the trade commissions, account maintenance fees for additional services like research or financial advice. However, the landscape for brokerage fees has evolved significantly in the recent years. I think, Trevor, if you have spoken about the cost, or they have the cost as Old Mutual, so you can actually find out the cost of their services. Trade commissions, a broker might charge a commission every time you trade a stock, whether you buy or sell. Therefore, an investor, my aim is to reduce transactional costs as I trade in stocks. The more you sell shares, your transaction cost also arises. So sometimes it may not be very advisable when there is a slight increase in price at a premium, then you want to sell your shares. So it would be better for you to hold them and sell them at a later stage so that you reduce transactional costs. Right, pick your stocks. Right, beginners should look for stocks that have stability, a strong track record, and the potential to steady grow. Don't start out or the gate with a risky stock thinking you will hit it big right away. Investing for the long term is mostly slow and steady fast, not fast and rush. Here are some stocks that are solid bets to begin. The blue chips, these are shares of large, well-established and financially sound companies with a history of reliable performance. They are typical industrial leaders and offer stability during the market fluctuations, which I believe that all the 13 listed companies are blue chips. Dividend stock, companies that regularly pay dividends can be a good choice for beginners. Dividends give you a regular income, which can be reinvested to buy even more stocks. Most of the shares on the VFEX regularly pay dividends. Growth stocks, the greater the chance of outsized growth in a stock, the riskier investing in it will be. Beginners interested in growth stocks should look for industry with long-term potential, such as technology or health. Defensive stocks, these are in industries that tend to perform well even during economic downturns, such as utilities, healthcare, and consumer goods. That will give you a buffer against market volatility as you start. It is prudent to begin with a conservative approach, focusing on stocks or funds that offer stability and a good track record. This will give you confidence and returns to work with. Right, just off the record, we spoke about these peaks of the types of stock that they need to go through. But I want to urge people to actually also say, as investors, have a certain self-style approach. Have patience. Be self-analytical about stock movement. Be a relaxed person, like an easygoing. Like, don't freak or panic when there's a change downwards. So, and also it should be someone who is able to monitor the performance of the stocks that you're trading in. Maybe it could be on daily basis or on weekly basis, so that you're able to articulate your type of stocks. And also you should be able to read as enough information that comes to you, like read research products, daily sheets, and the financial statements. And also you should be able to articulate what these financial statements mean, so that you know the type of stock we are dealing with. General investors' advice. I would urge you guys to start now, not tomorrow, but start now. Establish why you need to invest, e.g. capital growth or dividend earnings. With less funds, you learn less capital growth, less dividend. So the more you put in your funds on your stocks, or the more you put funds to buy more shares, the more you would earn dividends, the more capital growth that you have. Check in the cost associated with high trade levels, which I am saying you might not need to sell your shares more frequent, so that you reduce trading costs. Analyze your stocks through an Excel sheet that will give you a better understanding of your stock behavior, which will enhance the quality of a decision making, on which shares to buy. Even for those that have not bought in some shares, I encourage you to probably for a week study the behavior, or a week or 2 weeks, study the behavior of each share. How does it perform? What is its normal price? What is the low price on it? What is the high price? So that you avoid buying the shares when the prices are high, so that you avoid losses. So it's better for you to study these things. You will self-monitor the performance of the shares. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Taurai Sain. Thank you very much for that effective and quite comprehensive comprehensive presentation. I believe Taurai touched on quite a number of aspects, from having clear investment goals. He elaborated on how you can come up with those investment goals. He spoke about timelines. He spoke about how you can choose different stock. His presentation was quite comprehensive. I think even myself, I did learn a few things from his presentation. So allow me to say, Taurai, thank you so much for that presentation. Thank you very, very much for preparing that presentation. It was quite educative. It was comprehensive. It was well done and well thought out. Thank you so much for that presentation. So now we're now going to move on to the last bit of this webinar, the question and answer segment. So allow me to move to the chat box and see the questions that you have been posting on the chat box. So I see there's Heavens Majorita was saying the website is not responding. I'm not sure, Heavens, which website that you're referring to. Perhaps you can send a follow-up so that we can be able to further assist. I see Tafide Nyika is saying, is it just me having the network jacks? Oh, you mean the with the webinar? I did also notice one or two network problems, but I hope you got you got everything. And then I also have got Linda. Linda is saying that how do I change my banking details on the VFX app? Tariro, may kindly assist Linda. She's saying, how do I change my banking details?
Okay, great. Thank you so much, Linda, for that question. I think that's a good question and a common one as well, so it'll benefit everybody else. So when it comes to changing your banking details, unfortunately, as a person on the other side regarding the app, you're not actually able to change your own banking details simply because of the sensitivity of such information, for example, your ID or your banking details. So because of that, we expect you to send us an email and we will change on the admin side of the app. So kindly send an email to vfexdirect@vfex.exchange with your updated banking details, and they will be able to update it on the admin side of the mobile application.
Thank you very much, Tari. I hope you are answered. If Tari, may you kindly just type in that email address in the chat box so that in case she missed that email address, she can find it in the chat box. And then we also have a question from Johnny saying, so we cannot use C-Trade to invest on VFX.
All right. Okay, sorry to cut you off, Sandra. All right, so trading on VFX using C-Trade is possible. However, for anything more technical, it would be ideal that you reach out to C-Trade, which is under escrow, so they'll be able to assist you further. However, as a representative of VFX, I will promote VFX Direct. On VFX Direct, you're also able to have what we call a view-only terminal, which actually allows you to see how the market is performing. And when you have a registered account, you naturally have access to that. So that makes trading on VFX Direct easy, accessible, as well as convenient for you. And also, if you're investing in counters that are listed on VFX, it's also ideal to be trading on a platform that is manned by VFX Direct.
All right, thank you. Thank you so much, Tari. I hope you are answered. Moving on to our next question is from Leonard. Leonard is saying, when are you going to link up with the EcoCash platform?
Okay, so unfortunately, we cannot necessarily disclose any surprises that we may have for the market. However, we are definitely taking note to make it more convenient for our investors to be trading and to fund their accounts. And that's also how you even see that the initiative with Inbucks was initiated, because we saw that, you know, going to the bank and using the banking route could be maybe less convenient for some individuals, and also acknowledging that the Zimbabwean market has a lot of different ways in which people can move money. So it would be best to make our platform to be more accessible for many if we also include such easier ways or link with such platforms. So it's definitely in the works, perhaps not exactly with EcoCash, I cannot disclose further. However, we are definitely finding more ways, more innovative and creative ways to make the exchange and our platform more accessible and convenient to you. So thank you very much for the prompt. We are definitely looking into that.
All right, thank you very much, Tadiro. I see the next question after that is also linked to the previous question. So Makomborero is asking, is saying that thanks Tariro, what VFX plans towards integrating with common forex payment methods? I think you partly answered on this one to say that we are still looking and exploring other methods. I think, as she rightfully said, that in the near future, the VFX is considering integrating with various platforms. But at the moment, in terms of timeline, we cannot really say the timelines. But definitely, there is some innovation that is coming. And then one is saying email assistance seems to be non-existing. I have an issue requiring to amend nostro details, no response to several emails. So one is, so if you may kindly send the email, perhaps you can send it directly to Tariro's email. Tariro, may you kindly also put your email in the chat box. Tariro will attend to your query personally. We sincerely apologize for that delay. She will be assisting you promptly after this discussion. We apologize for that delay. And then I see there's Leonard. Leonard is saying, what can be done to reduce the T+3 time since some of the processes are now automated? Would you like to take that one, Tari?
I think perhaps I could, and maybe you can add to that. That is a project that we're definitely looking into to reduce the settlement period from T+3. I believe perhaps sometime in this year, you probably would be seeing that improvement, as we already also have some improvement in trying to make a lot more of our processes become digitalized. I don't know, Sandra, perhaps there's more that you could assist or add to that.
Yes, I think she rightfully said it. We are exploring the possibility of trying to reduce the settlement cycle. We have seen that it's been done in more developed economies. So it's something that we're really looking into to perhaps try to reduce the settlement cycle. As soon as we have made significant progress on that one, we will be making an announcement to the market. At this point, we're doing more research, trying to look through our processes to see how best we can go about it. And then the next one is from Makomborere saying, thanks, Trevor. Kindly add me to your mail updates, and he put his email there. And then there's Charles. Charles is saying, in terms of dividend payouts, is there a minimum number of shares you need to have in order to receive a payout? If yes, what is the number of shares? Perhaps let me give this one to Trevor.
Thank you, Sandra. I don't think there's a minimum, but it then depends on the amount of the dividends. Let's say they declare dividend of, let's say, a cent and you have a share. It becomes expensive to even transfer that cent to you. So that could be an issue. So it really depends with the counter. Then if it comes to Caledonia, they might declare like 15 cents or so. So you find if you have maybe 10, they might transfer that money because it's transferable. So it really depends with the counter, the price, the dividend as well.
Thank you very much, Trevor. Perhaps just to cement on what Trevor said. Essentially, there is no minimum amount for you to receive dividends. From as little as 1 share, you can be able to receive dividends on your shares. So usually what happens is that sometimes you might not receive these dividends because you have not yet updated your details, your banking details with the transfer secretary. So when you how do you go about doing this? So when you update your banking details on the VFEX platform, we also encourage you to update your details with your broker at the same time, so that when the transfer secretary is processing dividends, they have the right banking details. So for example, say there was a counter that paid a dividend and you did not receive that dividend, you can directly approach the transfer secretary. The money will be there. It can be transferred to you as soon as you you update your banking details. So like Trevor was saying, the number of shares that you actually own is multiplied by the dividend that is paid, as the dividend is paid per share. So sometimes because of the number of shares that you own, sometimes you might not even realize that there's money that came into your account because of the number of shares that you own. Say, for example, you have 5 shares and they pay about maybe 10 cents per share, which means in your account you receive 50 cents. So essentially every shareholder will receive dividends. What just differs is the amount that you receive, which is based on the number of shares that you actually own. I hope you are answered. There is another question from Graham. How do I change my account number to reflect USD? The one and the system is in RTGS. Perhaps Terry, you can answer Graham.
Okay, thank you, Graham, for that. I think, well, the way that you can change your banking details, just simply send an email to vfxdirect@vfx.exchange. The email address I've already put into the chat box. So just copy that email and put in the body of your email that you're required to change your banking details because you mistakenly put your RTGS banking details. Kindly make sure that you have done this process before you make any sale, simply because your proceeds will bounce back. They will not be able to go into that account.
Thank you very much, Tari. I hope you are answered. And then there's a question from Daniel, says, if a stock moves from ZSE to VFX, are shares automatically transferred to VFX, or there's a process of forms to be filled? And he also says, Trevor Mhlope, please add me to your mailing list. I see there's also someone that wants to join your mailing list there. Trevor, may you kindly take note there. And then perhaps Tari would want to tackle that one of shares that move from the ZSE to the VFX.
Okay, so migrations, that's a very good question as well. So how we handle migrations is simply that you now require, your shares have now moved from ZSE onto VFX. So if you have a VFX direct account, then your shares, and you're maintaining the same broker, then your shares will automatically move. However, if you do not have a VFX direct account or a VFX account in general, what essentially happens from the more technical perspective is such that your shares move from ZSE, and then we create a new EDS number. I think Trevor already spoke about what that is. So we create a new EDS number for you, which I will loosely term, it's like your bank account number, but for VFX. So we create that, and your shares essentially go and sit in that account until you create an account. So creation of an account would either be through VFX Direct, like I explained earlier, or you go to your broker directly and they open the account for you. So that's essentially it. The process will either be automated, obviously based on the variables of do you already have an account, but if it hasn't happened automatically, you're free to send us an email. Also, I will copy the email in the chat box. This would be info@vfex.exchange. So we'll be able to look further into the situation. But if you see that your shares haven't migrated, you can also contact your ZSE broker in order for them to initiate the migration or the transfer once you've opened your account.
Thank you very much for that response. Perhaps, Trevor, you would like to add onto that, or everything has been covered?
To cover everything. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much. I hope you are taking note of the email addresses that are being put in the chat box for individuals that would like to join your mailing list. I see there's also, there are quite a number of them that are there. Heaven saying, can we have the slides? Can you send them on that email address? We'll be sharing all the slides or the presentation from all the speakers to everyone that attended. Then the next one is another one, which is a request for addition on the mailing list. And then I think those ones are just requests for additions on the mailing list. So I think at this point, I'll also open up to any questions and any questions that might be there in the audience that were not posted in the chat box. If you have a question, may you kindly raise your hand, and we'll allow you to unmute your mic and ask the question in case there is any question that I might have skipped. I see there is a hand from Daniel. Please go ahead. Daniel, please go ahead. Maybe Daniel might be having a bit of some challenges. Edmo, please go ahead.
Okay, thank you very much. My question is on the interim dividend. I'm not very sure the interim dividend and the final dividend. Can you explain a bit what this means? And then my other question is, I have shares that are on certificates. Can I actually transfer them to VFEX Direct? I bought these shares some time past when there was no actual online trading. Then my last question is, there's a time when we miss some payments of dividends, and then maybe dividend number 20, number 21, number 22. Are they cumulative in nature? So that maybe if I had $1 in one dividend and another $1 and another $1, I have $3 that is being paid to me. I think those are the questions that I Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. May we kindly mute our mics to allow our speakers to tackle the questions. May we kindly mute our mics? All right, so there were 3 questions that we posed. The first one was on interim and final dividends. There was also an issue to do with physical certificates, if they can be made onto your VFEX direct accounts. There was also a question on missed dividends. Perhaps my speakers, may you kindly assist in these questions. If any of my speakers is free to tackle them, please feel free to tackle them.
All right, I will handle his first question on interim and final dividends. So how dividends work is such that you have invested in a company. For example's purposes, I will create my own company, Greenlight, right? So you have invested in Greenlight, and Greenlight will essentially declare a dividend. An interim dividend usually happens perhaps halfway through the year, and then the final dividend happens at the end of the year. So just because the dividend has been declared, it means it is now owed to you, but it does not necessarily mean you will receive it immediately, right? So sometimes they would declare a dividend, an interim dividend, but it only gets paid out at the same time as the final dividend. And like I explained earlier, that a dividend is essentially when a company perhaps, also this declaring dividends also depends on the company's strategy. So if a company has made enormous profits, right? So Greenlight sells green bottles. So they have made a good profit, and they have decided that they want to give their shareholders a portion of those profits. What I mean by strategy of a company is that if a company's strategy is they're trying to grow, they're a new company and they're trying to grow, they might not declare dividends, or they will declare a low dividend. Why? Because they want to preserve that money, they want to reinvest it in order to grow the company. And then maybe a more established company that doesn't necessarily have any projects coming up that require a lot of funding will probably be declaring higher dividends. Also, again, like I said, depends on strategy of the company. And that's also something you need to be wary of when you choose your investment strategy. What type of companies are you interested in, right? So back to dividends. Company has decided that they're going to be giving a dividend. So for each one share, you'll be getting a dividend of 5 cents, for example. And that's why it becomes important to push volumes when you're buying your shares, because you find that a company will probably have a minimum of 10,000 shares. So that means your one share is a drop in 10,000 shares. So if perhaps you're holding 1,000 shares, then that means whenever they declare a dividend, you also realize a bigger portion of the pie. So that's essentially how that works. And the second question, I believe, was on certificates. So you have a certificate for your shares. It's possible for us to have this, to digitalize it and to put it into the system. I think perhaps how we can take forward this matter or this issue would probably be, please get in touch with us via email, and we can look further to see what certificate this is, for what specific company, and we can look further and engage perhaps the transfer secretary involved as well as the broker you're interested in or that you have. The third question, unfortunately, I do not quite recall what it was.
Okay.
All right, thank you. Thank you very much, Tariro. Taura, you've been very quiet. Sorry, you've been very quiet. Perhaps you'd like to add one or two on this, on the questions that we asked.
Sorry, I didn't get the third question.
Okay, so his first question was on interim dividends and final dividends. His second question was on physical certificates. His third question was on what happens when you miss a dividend.
Okay, I think she has already answered properly on the interim dividends and the final dividend. That interim dividend can be declared within a certain period or within the year, but not on the based on the final account. So the final dividend could be based on the actual final financial statement for that year. Yeah, that's what I want to add on.
All right, thank you so much, Taurai. So just to add on to the questions that we asked, in terms of whether a company declares an interim or final dividends, I think as Tariro said that it's based on the policies and the profitabilities of the company. The second one to do with physical certificates, I think it was also rightfully answered. The third one to do with missed dividends. So what happens essentially is that transfer secretary is the agent of the company or of the issuer. For example, I'll use maybe Econet Wireless. So the transfer secretary becomes the agent of Econet. So whenever there are any dividends that are going to be distributed, it's done through the transfer secretary. So in most cases, you discover that you miss dividends because the transfer secretary does not have your details, your banking details. So what essentially you need to do is that you need to be in touch with the transfer secretary, or you can go to a transfer secretary through your broker to try and get hold of them so that you can be paid out all the dividends that you might have missed out. I hope you are answered.
Yes, I am answered. Thank you very much for the explanation.
All right, thank you. I see there's also another hand that is up. Please go ahead and ask your question.
All right. Yeah, I wanted to get more information, I think either from the investment analyst or from Taurai, in terms of the returns I can expect. Currently, I'm in Australia, and there are options like fixed term deposits where you can get 5 to 7% per annum. You also have the stock market itself. Depending on how you invest, you can get up to 8% per annum. So I wanted to know, in terms of the market analysis, if I'm to invest on the VFX, what can I be expecting?
Thank you very much for your question. May you kindly assist Trevor or Taurai or Tariro?
Thank you for your question. So there really no guarantees there on in terms of maybe what to expect. So in Zim at the moment, the biggest investor, that is your pension funds, they are not that liquid in terms of the USD. Why? Because most employees are getting USD in form of allowances, not in form of salaries you get. So whatever they're earning is not pensionable. So the pension funds, they don't have much liquidity to be investing on the VFX. So what you find is the returns have been on the lower side. So it's now depends on your investment horizon and your goals as the investor. If you play the long game, this is the time to be buying, because we all know that now things have changed. The standards changed even from the government's perspective. Civil servants allowances are now pensionable. It's a salary, whatever they're earning. And I'm sure the private sector also follows suit. So maybe in a year, 6 months to a year, maybe we'll see more liquidity flowing towards the VFX in terms of maybe daily turnover moving from the 100,000 per day that we are seeing at the moment, maybe 200, 300, 400. And when that happens now, you will find the likes of Insco moving from where they are currently trading around 40 to 50 cents per share. You may be closer to their target, that is around 80, 90 cents thereabout. So it's really depends on you, the investor. Well, if you are short term, then I wouldn't really advise you to have those expectations. But if you are playing the long game, it's the time to be buying, because there are a lot of good stocks that are currently trading below their average. Thank you.
Thank you very much for that response. I see, Taurai, your mic is on. Do you have any additions?
Okay, like in this time, like more or less where there's less liquidity on the market, I would advise him to, maybe if he has more money for now, to buy more of the stocks on the market, so that probably when the prices start to pick up, then you may realize some premium on the shares. But like what I'm saying, there is the liquidity is not all that high. And I was just like checking the numbers and say, we are almost about 64 people also on this. So as people come in also to buy the shares, we hope that the prices will also be improved. And also other policies that may affect the prices come favorable. I think then the prices will go up, but not like on a short term, on long term.
All right. Thank you very much, Taurai, for that. I hope you are indeed answered.
Yes, thank you. I'm answered.
All right. Is there any other question, perhaps, that I might have missed? I suppose that hand that I'm seeing is still the old hand. Okay, I'm not seeing any other questions. So if there are no further questions, let me take this opportunity to